The Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani winning New York's mayoral race. Joining us right now is Kathy Wylde, President and CEO of the Partnership for New York City. We have been talking about the prospect of this mayor becoming the mayor for quite some time. For the most part, the business community had been adamant that this was the wrong choice. You perhaps less so, Kathy. And so now I'm curious what you think happens next. Whether businesses stay in New York City, whether the wealthy stay in New York City, how the business community works or doesn't work ultimately with this mayor.
Well, I think the business community is going to be looking very carefully at his appointments to start with. It was a great sign 3 weeks ago when he said he would keep our current police commissioner, Jesse Tisch, who is terrific and well-respected. And just we had new crime reduction statistics announced last week, and crime is down this month another 6%. So that's going very well. And if that appointment is an indicator of the direction he's going to go in terms of the people who run the agencies of the city, which is, of course, New York City is a complicated machine. And so the key is what leadership he puts in place. And we're looking forward to seeing that in the next couple of weeks.
So let me ask you a couple questions. Tisch is going to stay in that job, at least for now. My understanding, though, is that she's effectively told this mayor that she wants to run it and run it somewhat autonomously. So if, in fact, he were to 6 months from now say, hey, I want you to start reallocating resources this way and that way and this way and that way, she could walk. What do you think the prospect of that happening is? I think that he used her appointment, if you will, in part to get elected. Because there were people who were concerned about safety in the city. My question is how long do you think she's in that role?
Well, I think that it's not fair to say that he used that appointment because since the primary, the business community, their one big ask of him was to keep Jesse Tisch, and he conceded to do that. So I think you're characterizing it wrong. I think that it showed a responsiveness to concerns about public safety. What matters to business is that their employees are safe, that their customers are safe, that this is a good place to do business. And that's what they're going to be looking at with his other appointments. Will New York remain a good place to do business? And I think that's the challenge. In my experience, the business community is prepared to step up. I think the concerns that have been raised during this campaign have been, to a large extent, a response to negative advertising. I have come away from this campaign believing that we should take a close look at the use of AI in distorting political advertising. I saw a lot of ads that were caricatures of people, but using AI, it made it seem like they were someone else. So I think some of the fears of Mamdani...
What did you see that they... Give me some examples of that, because, I also saw things online that I believe to be true, including comments by the now mayor saying that he wants to seize the means of production. These were things that he said not on the campaign trail, but literally just years ago.
Years ago.
I saw
yes.
Video of him saying that he wanted to defund the police, not on the campaign, but within the past couple of years. These were not things made up by AI, and so there are meaningful concerns. The other thing that the business community, I think, beyond the policing piece, have been concerned about, and even if we take the wealth tax off the table, is actually what it means for corporate taxes in New York. What do you have to say about that?
The mayor has nothing to do with corporate taxes. That's a state function, and the governor has said she's not raising taxes.
And the question that I would ask is, to the extent that he speaks about raising corporate taxes or speaks about raising wealth taxes and the like, even if it's not his function, what kind of effect that has on business leaders who are thinking about either employing more people in the city, coming to the city, not leaving the city to avoid churn, all of those issues. Even if the actual decision is not his, if he is actively advocating for those things, how that changes or doesn't change the dynamic.
Well, we had 8 years of Bill de Blasio advocating those things, and we didn't lose businesses. Our economy continued the strong momentum that Mike Bloomberg started for his 12 years of mayor, and our economy kept growing. Last year, our economy passed $1 trillion. We have the strongest economy, the most jobs that we've had ever in this city. So I think the city is on a good track. It's strong. The business community is committed to being here as long as this is a place that attracts the world's top talent. And I think that will continue to be the case. I don't think the rhetoric of the campaign, hopefully, is going to carry over into the next 4 years. I'm very glad this campaign is over. It showed an ugly side of New York that I frankly was very surprised with. But at the same time, we had the most voters since 1969, which was my first election in New York City, when John Lindsay was running against Bill Buckley and Abe Beame. And this is the biggest turnout in the last 56 years. So that's a pretty exciting thing. I think democracy is alive and well in New York City. The beneficiary of that was Zohran Mamdani. But and that's who we're going to work with as the mayor for the next few years. So this did not come as a surprise to me. I'm on the ground in Brooklyn, and this has been coming our way. I mean, I think that he spoke to the issue that New Yorkers care about, especially young New Yorkers who registered in record numbers for their first vote. And that is, are they going to have a shot to enjoy the American dream? And I think that's something we want for our country. So together, we ought to be working in that direction. And I think we ought to turn off the negatives of the campaign and move forward with a positive message.
Well, Kathy, I want to ask you two more questions. Real estate industry, obviously, one thing he can do quite quickly if he wants is to deal with rent stabilization. That's something, obviously, that maybe some people want, others think is going to create an issue in terms of supply. Do you believe it will?
I think that he understands and has learned as he's talked to real estate leaders in the last 6 months. I think he's begun to understand that you can't freeze the rent unless you freeze the costs. And he now, as part of his pitch, is talking about property tax reform. Property taxes are 30% of the cost of operations in rent-stabilized buildings. And he has pledged that he will be focused on property tax reform as a way to balance this freeze-the-rent issue. And that would be something that would be a tremendous relief to the landlords in this city. So I think he is going to be a quick learner, a quick study, and that all aspects of the business community, including real estate, are going to be prepared to work with him. He also has said he wants to build 200,000 units of new affordable housing. Right. And that's going to require private partnerships, which he is now acknowledging. I mean, a couple of years ago.
Kathy.
Go ahead, sorry.
Right. We're going to run out of time. I have one final one for you. I went to Cornell University. There is a Cornell campus, as you know, on Roosevelt Island that is in partnership with Technion, which is an Israeli school. And this mayor said that he would want to reassess the partnership that Cornell has with that school because it's based in Israel and what impact that could have. What do you think of that?
I actually challenged him on that. It was something that was in an Instagram post a number of years ago. He is a young man, and to him, a few years is a very large percentage of his life. So I think we've got to look forward, not back. We can't, these days with the kids, the digital natives, and he's the first digital native, obviously, to become our mayor. The digital natives have... Life
Kathy,
goes by quickly.
We're not talking about an Instagram post from. Just to be clear, we're not talking about a post from years ago. His spokesman recently was asked about this, said that he would want to reassess the partnership between Cornell and Technion, saying that an institution that develops technologies that serve the IDF should not benefit from funding from New York City.
Well, I have not heard that, and I have not heard him say that. I saw it as an Internet post a number of years ago.
There's nothing he said recently that bothers you. Nothing in terms of intifadas and nothing anti-Semitic that he said. Can you gloss over everything, Kathy? I mean, there are problems. There's a reason why it was such a divisive campaign, and why you're hearing so much, and why you're seeing things like the cover of the Post. You can't just. I mean, you sound like an ostrich. I mean, I know the Post isn't probably your cup of tea, but I mean, this is. This isn't all just made up out of thin air. There are real concerns about an exit from New York City based on what this young man apparently believes in.
I think that's true. I think particularly from the standpoint of many in the Jewish community who he did not speak to, he did not satisfy their concerns about having a New York City mayor who is not sympathetic to Israel and to a Jewish homeland. I think that that's very high on the list of things he has to address in the next coming weeks and months, and I believe he's committed to do that. He suggested that last night. But I also think that you saw in this campaign a defensiveness that came up on all sides, part of it having to do with the rise in anti-Semitism and the Islamophobia. I live in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, which is a very large Palestinian community, I think the largest in the city. And believe me, this is both sides are on the defense here, and that can turn ugly. I think that we've got to really look again at at the use of distortion of AI in campaigns, how the internet has played into creating a very negative vibe.
I think you need to distort anything about Zohran Mamdani. You can just.
Well, you don't know him, so I guess you wouldn't know.
I don't. I know what I read. Like Andrews. I don't know. He's a young man. Don't go back 2 years. He didn't really mean when he said that. He's keeping, the police.
Well, no. I think he's been very direct and straight about, and I've watched him grow during the course of just this campaign. And as I say, he's going to be, if he serves 2 terms as mayor, he's going to be 42 when he leaves office. This is a young person. He's somebody who's wide open from what I've seen to input, to listening, to learning. And during just the course of the few months of the campaign, I've watched him become much more nuanced in his public policy decisions. So I'm very hopeful that he's going to be a positive force in the city, that there will be healing from what has been a very divisive, negative campaign, and we'll move forward. I mean, in my experience in New York City for almost 60 years, I have never seen a campaign that was as distorting and as ugly as this one.
Kathy, I got one final one for you.
Thanks to AI, yes, and I think we should take a close look.
If you were to poll the New York City partnership, the group that you represent, does a majority agree with the comments that you've made?
I think so, yes. I think they are universally prepared to try and work with him, assuming he can address their deep concerns about anti-Semitism and the Israeli issue. Yes, I think the majority want to roll up their sleeves and work with him. Certainly, key leaders in the business community have said that, and I think they're responsive to what their employees and the public and their consumers have said they want to see in this city. We all agree New York is the most expensive city in the country. We have an affordability crisis. He has said his first commitment is to address that. And he also said last night, he said, I'm going to address that in part by reducing the bureaucracy, finding a more efficient way to govern. That doesn't sound like a socialist to me. That sounds like somebody who has been listening, who wants to use the resources of the business community, bring us all together and move forward. And I think that's the spirit of New York. That's why we love this city. We all work together in a positive way. The campaign has been a distortion, which has capitalized on religious and other differences. I think we're done with that. We're going forward.